We're live, folks. MLB Strategy Show starts now. And by Strategy Show, I mean Labor Day live before lock from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock because we have a slightly different day today. 5-game early slate. We're hitting on it now. Lock at 2:10. I'm going to try to get to up and around 2 o'clock. We shall see where we end up as we go on. I am Josh Engleman. For those of you that do not know, follow me on Twitter at Josh Engleman. Our schedule changes today, guys, and you are seeing it now. Today, well, technically tomorrow is the first day of our full-time NFL coverage. So Laffy has got the boot. He's out of here for baseball. You get me solo edition Monday through Friday all the way until the end of the regular season. If I'm being honest, it kind of changes the scope of this show a little bit. We could really dig into things here. Not that we don't have a fun time when it's me and Laffy, because I obviously greatly enjoy it, but it's a different show. Today, we could really deep dive into everything that exists across the slate. So the way that I'm looking at it for today and the way that I'm looking at it moving forward, at the very least for these live before locks, it's going to look a lot like the show did before. Let's spend the first 30 minutes or so looking at the different teams, available pitching, and stacks. We'll dig into some advanced data. We'll look at StatCast. We'll look at Add More Funds. We'll hit a couple things. I've got the top stacks and top pitchers tool loaded from Stokastic data. I've got my top stacks and top pitchers tool loaded as well. So we can break it all down. I've got my personal sim running in the background right now, just out of curiosity. Yeah, we got a little bit left to go there, but once that's finished, we can then take a look at what my exposures look like. We still have a couple lineups that need to trickle out, but once they do, we'll load them back up. And then, sometime around 1:45, I'll probably set off my final run and we can figure out where we're at. So I'm going to get the Zin out of my mouth because it's hard as shit to talk with that in there. I'm going to pop the top on my water. Let's get it started. Oh, anybody new that is watching this show that has never seen this before or never seen me do a show on my own, this is my own personal Excel workbook. No, it is not available on Stokastic.com. No, I can't send it to you. The main factor for all of this is it wouldn't do you any good. It's just a framework. It grabs data out of my model via Python scripts and databases. The moment you would open this, you would have nothing in it. I wouldn't be able to help you out. What you're looking at and what you really like here is the formatting, I would imagine. And that's just me being weird and wanting things to look the way that I want them to. So just wanted to put that out there. Let's take a look at the slate. Now, at least based on my data, I see 4 teams right out of the gate that have wildly different top stack odds than everybody else. The Orioles, the Astros, the Dodgers, and the Guardians. Those 4 teams are in the 15 to 20% top stack range. Everybody else is in single digits. So at the very least, I think we want to hit each one of those teams first. And we'll circle back to pitching in a bit. I think pitching's a lot easier to talk about. And we can hit on it while we're in it too. But that's more of I want to know where my exposures lie first. So Orioles are the first up. We have them. What high dollar water do I have? I bought 6 empty bottles like this and I filled them out of my filter. So, I don't know, well water. Orioles have an 18% chance of being the top 2 stack on Stokastic. I have it at 17. Makes me feel pretty good about where we stand there. I need to plug my phone in. Give me 1 second, guys. Sorry. I can go there. And this can go here. Perfect. All right. I mean, the ceiling of the Orioles today is massive. Do we have crazy weather today in Baltimore? It's shitty here, so I can't imagine it's hot. Yeah, it's 80. Okay. So not that crazy of weather. Wind blowing in, too. But I guess Chris Flexen sucks. No weather concerns, Ken. Early slate is wide open. Nothing to worry about whatsoever. 2 of the games are in domes anyway. Like, obviously, Chris Flexen is shit. This we know. And this Orioles lineup looks damn good. I've got a 5.6 run implied total for the Orioles. I have them with the highest run total of anybody. They clearly look great on paper. They're only third in ownership, 9.5%. Gunner's at 15. Cedric Mullins is at 10. The rest of this is singles. Single digits, that is. The only downside here is that the Baltimore Park limits power a little bit to righties. And I do want to take a look at that quickly. So, right side homer, no rolling 3-year. I want to see all the individuals. So, Orioles, 95 park factor this season, 66 last year, 81 the year before that. It's definitely worse against righties, but nothing problematic. I mean, the lefties here today, very hard to not want to get to the lefties of Baltimore. Whether that's Gunnar Henderson, whether that's, Rutschman, O'Hearn, Kowser, Mullins, Jackson Holiday. All of these lefties look fantastic. Just out of curiosity, let's see what Chris Flexen's got going on. So Flexen this year across 2,300 pitches, 190 x ISO to lefties, 180 x ISO to righties. He gives up a ton of power. These guys hit for a ton of power. The way that I see this is that I hope I get Baltimore. The only real downside to Baltimore is this outfield stretch. You'd like a little bit more flexibility, but you do lock in a good catcher. They're incredibly expensive. That's the hard part of getting to Baltimore. They look obviously great, but dead last in top value score. You've got 2 guys north of 6K. You've got 3 guys 5K or higher. So it is going to be an expensive stack. It's likely going to lead you to need like Verlander and Gavin Williams combined. But as I see it, if you're able to build an Orioles stack, you should try to build an Orioles stack because their upside looks massive. You're laughing about O'Hearn being 5K. He's probably underpriced. First base outfield at 5K, hitting third against Chris Flexen. I don't know about you guys, but that looks good. We'll find out what my exposures look like in a bit. Let's hit the next best offense, or technically the best offense. Astros, 19% top stack odds in Stokastics. 19% top stack odds in mine. I have them as a slightly better value, but it's very minimal. This is the number 1 stack. They're also the number 1 owned stack. The Astros are coming in 22% owned per our top stack tool. We also have them with a 19% stack score. Yordan Alvarez is 30% owned. Victor Caratini is 20% owned. Jose Altuve is 20% owned. Everybody else is in the 10 to 15 range. This looks very different than the ownership coming into Baltimore, which honestly is making me like Baltimore more. Now, Julian Aguilar on the opposite side for Cincinnati is primed and ready to get absolutely wrecked by the Astros. He doesn't miss bats. The Astros don't strike out. There's going to be a lot of balls here. Power plays up in Cincinnati in a big way, particularly the lefties. So I think that's why you're seeing Alvarez. Oh, Jack Caratini not in the lineup. That must have came out once we started this show. Yeah. Oh, Diamondbacks lineup came in. Oh, we got a bunch of lineups from the moment I started. Okay, that's good to know. Either way, whether Caratini's playing or not, Bregman not in the lineup either, it doesn't matter. This team is going to be pulling an absolute ton of ownership because of this park, because of this pitching matchup, and because of the fact that the Astros are just good. So the only thing that I see with the Astros is that they're pretty easy to get to. Alvarez is 5,800, Altuve is 5,100, Nobody else in the 5Ks. Let me just confirm that for the new lineup. Yeah, like they're pretty cheap. So you see Baltimore being super expensive, hard to roster. You see the Astros heading into this show, number one in top stack for me and Stokastic, number one in value for me, number two in value for Stokastic. The reason they're getting so much ownership is that they look like one of the two best stacks on the high end, and they're cost efficient. And honestly, they're going to be more cost efficient because I assume whatever we replace Bregman with is cheaper. And I mean, Caratini being 2,600 is probably the actual loss, but he was chalky as shit. I don't expect to have the Astros. That would surprise me. I hope I don't. I would much rather find the value on the Orioles. But I won't be mad if I have Houston because they clearly look good. I'm hoping that I have a lot of Astros 3-mans and 2-mans and one-offs. So the Dodgers are third in Stokastic top stack, fourth in mine. I assume that the only other team that we're going to look at in this case is going to be the Guardians. Ohtani is 7K. Betts is at 6,200. You've got Freeman and Teoscar both north of 5. Erod on the hill for Arizona. Now, the park will help here. This isn't like playing in LA. Arizona's park crushes homers. 86 park factor to righties. 74 park factor to lefties. I mean, clearly I like the Dodgers side of this one. You know, I'm not super nervous about Erod. He's fine, like an average guy. The Dodgers lineup is clearly loaded. I have it as the best lineup going today. Now that says that's a little bit different than matchup. That's a little bit different than pricing. But just in terms of raw talent, I have them with a higher projected WOBA than anybody else on this slate. But they are a weird team to get to. They're an easy team to get to. Ohtani's got the MPE, helps to offset a 7K price tag. Tommy Edmonds, shortstop outfield. Kike is first, third, 2,800. And Chris Taylor is second, third, 2,600. So you're not going to have a lot of trouble getting to the Dodgers from a flexibility standpoint. All right, first step of my script is done. So I could run round 2 now. And we'll have an answer in a couple, probably like 2 or 3 minutes of where I stand. Then we'll start updating for new lineups and stuff, and we'll dig in a little bit further. I mean, Ohtani obviously looks great. I wouldn't be surprised if he's one of the top 2 or 3 plays today. I'm assuming Yordan Alvarez is number 1. I don't really play a ton of Dodgers. My thought process here is that they're not going to be a good enough value. And I think that the home run park factor is going to knock them down a bit. So far of the 3 teams that we've looked at, I'm hoping that I get to the Orioles the most. The reduced ownership, the comparable top stack odds. Like we have the Astros at 19% top stack, call it 19% ownership. It's 17% top stack for me for the Orioles, 10% ownership. That's what price is for today. But finally, we're going to hit the Diamondbacks, the other team that has a sizable, the Guardians, the other team that has a sizable top stack odds. This is the team that I have third, that Stokastic has fourth. So myself and Stokastic are flip-flopping 3 and 4. I like the value a little bit more on Cleveland. They don't have any MPEs, but outfield, second base, third base, first base, assuming that is the correct lineup. We do have that one, Quan. Outfield, second, third, first. Yeah. So we're good here. A lot of flexibility at the top. That is something that I like quite a bit. Now, park kills lefty power. What do we know about Michael Wacha? Wacha this season, 173 x-ISO to righties, 156 to lefties. If we add in last year, 182 x-ISO to righties, 153 to lefties. So no like out and out major problems. Evidently righties crush his changeup, which he throws more to righties than anybody else. That's something to pay attention to. Lefties can't hit it. I mean, they're getting 9% ownership. It's only Jimenez and Jose Ramirez that are north of 10% ownership. Ramirez is 6,700. Steven Kwan's 5K. Everybody else is pretty affordable. All right. The way that I see it right now is I'm hoping I have Orioles and Guardians as my two primary stacks. And I'll probably have one of the shittiest teams against a pitcher with some ownership. That's my guess. But if you're asking me to rank the four top teams, Orioles, Astros, Dodgers, Guardians, I'm ranking them Orioles, Guardians, Dodgers, Astros. Man, water is delicious when you're thirsty. All right, so we've hit the four main teams. Do you guys have your eye on anybody else? Have you guys been looking at any other teams that you want me to take a peek at? Like the White Sox, for example, are dead last in top stack. They don't have a single player in the lineup with a salary north of 2,800, which is really crazy. I mean, the White Sox are extra special free today. And then you have Burns on the opposite side, 50% owned. The leverage here is pretty bonkers. So we'll see where we end up on the White Sox. Really piss poor total. Okay. Kid Lightning says, all right, Jordan Villalobos asks about the Reds. Kid Lightning says Brewers. Andy says Cleveland. Termite says Reds or Brewers. Jeff Hewitt says Brewers. Reg Kel 85 says Arizona. Four Prong Dinger says Arizona. Rashid Grant says St. Louis. Seems like Brewers. So you've got Andre Payante going for the Cardinals. You've got the Brewers. Now, Stokastic has them fifth top stack, fifth top value. I have it seventh and sixth. So I'm a little bit more apprehensive, but not by much. They're sixth in ownership at around 9%. Very good flexibility. Second outfield catcher, first short, 1 through 5. Very easily stackable. Pricing isn't all that problematic. Contreras at 5,400, which you don't mind. Everybody else is 48 or below. I like Cincinnati here. Or sorry, I like Milwaukee here. And if we want to just give it a little peek to Payante, this season, he's thrown about 1,500 pitches. Now, he does not give up power. 091 x-ISO to lefties, 112 to righties. He just doesn't strike anybody out. The park plays up power. I kind of think the Brewers are a little sneaky. I'm okay with that shout for the Brewers. Payante grabbing 13% ownership might help to get to them, too. Like the Reds, you guys shouted them out. This is sort of the reverse for me. I like the Reds on paper more than Stokastic does. So Reds and Brewers are sort of flip-flopped. Verlander's at 24% ownership. Reds are pretty easy to stack. They're a little on the expensive side at the top of the lineup, but you're getting a second baseman, a shortstop, and a catcher in those first three spots, so I don't mind it as much. Verlander is not himself anymore. This is not the same guy that we're used to. He doesn't strike people out in the same way. I made the joke earlier in my betting Discord that it's possible that Kate Upton's Fountain of Youth has started to dry out a bit, and that might be what's costing Verlander here. On the season, he's given up a bit of power. 190 x-ISO to lefties, 176 to righties. Even if you add in last year, he's just not the same guy that he used to be. I have no issue whatsoever getting to the Reds. I like them given their ownership and the leverage on the opposite side. Now, whether or not I have the ability to get to it, we're about to find out. So me just make sure my script is done. And it is. So, if the lineups that I had in earlier were accurate and lock was right now, I would be playing these lineups. Let me just copy them over. So it's going to be right there. And I can just tell from looking at why does that not populate? Why are they not populating? I got too many there. Makes sense. 1 second. I was wondering why that was weird. Forgot that I played an extra lineup on Friday and didn't update my range, which I know I shouldn't have to do. Well, everything that I thought here is not correct, but I think that might just be a story of what this slate looks like. The team that I got to the most is, in fact, the Houston Astros. The second team that I got to is the Guardians. I'm under the field on Baltimore. No surprise there. They are expensive. That makes it hard. Neutral on the Royals, neutral on the Diamondbacks, neutral on the Reds. Did take a bit of a White Sox stand. I'm not surprised by that. But the team that I actually have the least is the Brewers, at least for right now. So let me take a look at this. Astros are in 20% of my lineups. I'm very concentrated on Victor Caratini. So this is clearly going to change because Caratini is not in the lineup. Yordan Alvarez in 35%. Bregman was the third most guy. So what I have for the Astros, my biggest stands, two of those guys aren't in the lineup anymore. So this might change, but I also don't think it's going to unlock Baltimore. I think we're going to have a lot of trouble figuring that out. By the way, pitching exposures, 65% of the 50% owned Corbin Burns, 52% of the 38% owned Freddie Peralta, 34% of the 23% owned Verlander, 30% of the 24% owned Gavin Williams, and then I did get to 14% of a 19% owned Jack Flaherty. I'm not a believer in the Michael Wacha ownership, and I'm not getting there. I'm not a believer in the Andre Payante ownership, and I'm not getting there. And I have no interest in Erod, in Aguiar, and I have a random Chris Flexen lineup, but not because that's a thing. So what do these White Sox lineups look like? Okay, so we're just taking a stand on Nicky Lopez, Corey Julks, Benintendi, and Corey Lee. Maybe Miguel Vargas shows up from time to time. Look, if Corbin Burns is going to be in 50% of lineups, I don't mind having some White Sox shares. I just don't. They are my third most exposed team. Your mileage may vary there. Let's look at the Guardians, since that's my second most exposed team. And it really is just Jam City on Andres Jimenez, a $3,800 second baseman, only 13% owned on a 5-game slate. I mean, how many second basemen do we even have? So if we look at just second baseman, or guys that can be rostered at second base, we only have 10 guys. I think Jimenez looks as good as Altuve for relative to salary, but $1,300 cheaper. So I'm very happy with what I have of the Guardians, but it is a little deceptive. Am I over the field on these guys? Yeah. Is Jimenez carrying a lot of that water? Also, yeah, he is. I hate that I'm not getting the Brewers. I disagree with that one considerably. I hope that changes. But this is where we stand right now. If these lineups had to go in, Astros, Guardians, top two stacks, and then it's really a combination of White Sox, Reds, Diamondbacks, Dodgers, Royals, all in that like 9% range. It's just really getting me away from Brewers, Cardinals, Orioles. I hate the Orioles piece. I really, really do. I would much prefer to have the Orioles. I'm getting Gunnar. I'm clearly using Gunnar Henderson as a one-off shortstop, as a two-man. However that's working out right here, Gunnar doesn't seem to be a problem. Being in the leadoff spot as a lefty against Chris Flexen probably helps. But yeah, I basically see this slate as 4.5 pitchers. And unfortunately for me, the Astros. But we have no clue what this Astros lineup changes are going to do when I finally run my sims. And I won't do that for like another 15 minutes or so. Okay. We've got some things that we need to talk about. So let's do that. What y'all say? You guys might want to peruse the comment section of this video. I'll show you why in a second. But the comment section will probably lay it out for you. You guys should also be following the Stokastic_com Twitter account. I've got it pulled up right now so you guys can see what that account looks like. But this is what you guys should want. NFL DFS is here. Season kicks off on Thursday. We've got a game on Thursday. We've got a game on Friday. And then we've got everything that everybody wants on Sunday, the first week of the NFL season. You can get our DFS package with either light or core that gets pre-contest sims, contest generators, projections, ownership, the single lineup sim. You guys see it here. It's all right here. The promo code is kickoff. Click the link in the description, or if you browse to the tweet, that's fine. Would I want the credit on this show? I absolutely would. But any way we get you in the door works for me. $1 for week 1 access. Don't sleep. We have so much stuff for the NFL season. And this says nothing for all of the content that we'll be putting out on our DFS channel, on the Odd Shopper channel. You're going to have infinite amount of videos to watch to prep you for this week and for those single games. But the data on the back end, the tools on the back end, light and core subscriptions are $1 for week 1. Link in the description. Sign up, guys. It's here for you. Now's the time to do it. Avoiding the Cardinals is a huge oversight. Love to know more about why. 9th in ownership, 9th in top stack in Mind and Stokastic. They look downright terrible. So what do you see that I don't, Dangerous Dave? Fill me in. What am I missing? Hey, Kyle says, didn't realize Hayward was picked up by Houston. You know when I learned that information? 5 minutes ago when I looked at the lineup. I didn't know it either. I didn't know it either. So this is where we stand. I'm mostly happy with my exposures. Like, it's not too... I'm not going to be winning a lot of money early, that's for sure. Unless the White Sox go nuts. Because I barely have any of the 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock games. It's going to take till 4 o'clock before I actually get some of my volume in there. Although I am technically, essentially neutral in the late games. It's just being light on the Dodgers. Now, pitching, I might have Freddie Peralta and Corbin Burns locked and loaded, and then I'm just praying for the late games. But so this is where we stand. Now, we could take a little bit of a look at pitching, but if I'm being honest, I don't think there's a lot to talk about here. I think pitching is pretty cut and dry. So you've got Jack Flaherty at the top of the heap at 10K. 19% owned. I have a little light there, but 10K is the price tag that I think just doesn't really work for me here. I have Burns and Peralta projected way ahead of Jack Flaherty. Burns, $1,400 cheaper. Even Peralta, $300 cheaper. We at Stokastic have Peralta at 18.5, Burns at 17.9, and Flaherty at 17.5. So I have it a little bit more negative for Jack Flaherty, but we also have the same order that I do. Well, I have Burns ahead of Peralta, but we have Flaherty third of those three, and I agree completely. I think the focus is Peralta and Burns. If you don't like one of them, take the other, and then you're probably going to either Justin Verlander or Gavin Williams. I am not a huge fan of Verlander, but he's 7,500 today, so I'm a lot less worried about that kind of price tag. And then for Gavin Williams at 6,400, again, it's a salary thing. You can't really confidently play Flexen or Aguiar. Those are the other two, legit pay down options. I think Verlander looks infinitely better than Payante because Payante just doesn't get strikeouts. So I think you're really just funneled to the cheapness of Verlander. And my guess is that I have some minimal combos of Peralta Burns, but I think it's really just like one of Peralta Burns, one of Verlander Williams. And that's going to be your two-man combo. But are you guys seeing pitching differently? I can't imagine anybody is really excited to get to Payante or Waka or Erod. You might be able to sell me differently on Jack Flaherty, but no one's advocating for Chris Flexen. That's a 0% chance. And by the way, if I haven't said it yet, I've got about 25 minutes to go here. Like this video, guys. Hit the thumbs up. Let's run that number up. I'm going to ask a lot. When I'm running solo here, guys, every like makes me feel better. And that's really all that I'm looking for. Yeah, this is a 4.5 pitcher slate. It's Peralta, Burns, Verlander, Williams, and then your mileage may vary on Jack Flaherty. He's at least actually talented. Doug, you like Payante more than Verlander? Gotta ask, why? What am I missing? Because you've got Verlander out there. Now, obviously, the park's not great for Verlander. And the Reds aren't bad, clearly. But, similar run totals to both. I have the WOBA for the Brewers and the WOBA for the Reds the exact same. Yeah, park is definitely a thing here. No disagreement there. But I think you're overestimating it. So I have the park factor for the Brewers at 101. That's for runs. 112 to righties, 118 to lefties. Since he's basically the same, 102 park factor for runs. Now, they're really extreme for lefty power, but it's still 105 for righties. In balance, it's basically the same. I think you're a little bit I think you're underrating the Brewers park, I guess. My only problem with Payante is that he doesn't strike anybody out. What's the upside? You got to pray that ball stays in the yard and he doesn't just get hit around. Because we're talking about Payante, 16% K rate to righties this year, 18.5 last year. If you add in, or 18.5 against lefties, sorry. If you add in last year, 16% to both. He doesn't generate swinging strikes. I think it's unequivocally Justin Verlander's ceiling today is higher than Payante's. It's just he's way more likely to stack up a couple strikeouts and, find the fountain of youth. the start you're looking for Payante is that balls just don't find the gaps. And while he might not roll out a bunch of strikeouts, maybe he can move efficiently through a Brewers lineup that has trouble converting him to power. And you can get, 6 innings of scoreless ball. All right. What are we waiting on for lineups at this point? Just the Reds. Has that come out? Okay. So the only lineup that we're waiting on at this point is the Reds lineup. Oh, here's one more for you guys. I know this is a baseball show. I tweeted this out earlier. So go to my Twitter account and vote in this poll if you're interested. But I had this. I was listening to a podcast and this popped into my head while I was walking this morning. If you're Gordon Hayward and you can change one moment in your life, would you rather change it so that your half-court shot in the national title game goes in and you beat Duke? Or would you undo your broken ankle in the first 5 minutes of your Boston tenure, which essentially ended your career in any realistic way? Personally, I'm 100% team make the half-court shot. But you guys can see we have 400 votes in this poll. And it is basically spot on 50-50. Yeah. All y'all saying ankle are incredibly wrong, and you should have your thought process fixed. Doug, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Y'all are crazy. Crazy. Why would you fix the ankle? You have the ability to beat Duke at Butler and have the most legendary shot in the history of college basketball. Oh, by the way, you still break your ankle and make $100+ million. I'll guarantee this, by the way. I'm going to do everything in my power to get that tweet in front of Gordon Hayward's eyes. He's definitely taking the half-court shot. Not even close. I'm not saying I want to break my ankle, but it happened. Y'all are nuts. Way, way, way too many of you are saying ankle. Crazy. AJ, you're thinking too deep into this. If he makes the shot, everything, his NBA career is the exact same. Nothing changes. What changes in this scenario is if he doesn't break the ankle, he has the ability to continue to play. Like, it changes the scope of the Boston Celtics. Sunflower, that's not how Gordon Hayward's going to be remembered, though. He's going to be remembered for breaking his ankle. Or, in my case now, for making the half-court shot. You take the shot all day. All y'all that think it's the ankle are nuts. William, he does not make more money if he makes the shot. Ignore, like, stupid endorsements. His NBA career doesn't change at all if he makes the shot. It wasn't a 180, but it was definitely like 90 and change. So anyway, I wanted to talk about that because it fascinated me this morning when I thought about it. So much so that I tweeted it while I walked. All right. Anyway, we're at 142. We don't have the Reds lineup, which is frustrating, but I'm going to let it rip. So I'm going to start my sim. And then while I start the sim, we're going to pull up the single lineup sim. Wait, did the Reds lineup come in? Did my Twitter just not refresh? Am I dumb? Do we have everything? Doesn't matter. I'm going to start my sim. While that runs in the background, we're going to pull up the single game sim, and we're going to build out lineups until top of the hour and then some. Because I can be pretty hands-off while I'm doing everything else. So we could really build out some lineups that we think are going to be fun. We could test out what it's going to look like to get to Baltimore. All right. So lineup in. Not going to worry about. Let me grab updated betting lines. Then once we get this started, we'll be in great shape. All right. Betting lines are updated. I need to refresh Stokastic projections on the backside. The Reds tweeted their lineup. Okay. Perfect. Does it match what I have on the screen? It'd be cooler if you guys just tell me. All right. Boom, boom, boom. Wrong file. Also wrong file. Correct file. All right, that's 1 and 2. Now I need updated ownership and updated projections. Thank you, guys. Makes it a lot easier for me to not give a shit about it at all. All right, we have 25 minutes to go until lock. So we are making good time. How long did that last sim take? 688 seconds is 11 minutes. We are going to cut that down to 5. Save. All right. Early ownership has also been updated. My ownership is now updated. Perfect. Wow. Don't know what I did there. And finally, last thing I gotta check. Everything looks good to me right now. If I deleted my files, I have. Sim is running. And no errors. So let's get it built. Let's build some lineups, folks. Stokastic.com. We're going to the Sims. We're going to the MLB simulation tools. And we're pulling up the single lineup simulator, early slate, large contest, 25% to first. I want to see what it's like to build a Baltimore lineup because I think that's the hardest thing to do. So we're going to start it off trying to do that. I don't even know if this is going to be, how feasible this is going to be to get the right pieces of this. So I'm going to take Rutschman. These guys are so expensive. This is going to be so hard. I'm going to take Ryan O'Hearn. I have to take Mullins at 4,800. Like, Rivera is the best value, but that's kind of gross. I mean, I'm going to take Jackson Holiday, I guess, to get a second baseman in there. So we need one more. I don't want to use Rivera, but I feel like I might need to just for the salary. It's hard to not want to use Gunnar or Santander. I'm going to go Gunnar and just hope. Now, by doing this, I think we've locked ourselves in to Gavin Williams and Justin Verlander, which leaves us 3,100 for a third baseman and 2 outfielders. So Dubon will save us quite a bit, but he's chalky as hell. I think that the best third base option is actually going to be... I mean, in theory, it's Emmanuel Rivera. I'm going to use Kike. And that leaves me 3,300 for 2 outfielders. Now, we can get one more Dodger in there if we want to go Tommy Edman. And then we have 3K for any outfielder. Highest projection is Chas McCormick, which is really something special. I'm going to grab Benintendi, same game. So let's see it. This is build number 1. I have no confidence here, by the way. Zilch, nada, not. I have all of the confidence in the world. I never doubted it for a second. I fully expected this to show up as good as it did. 56% simulated ROI, and I ain't do shit else but just look at this and build it with this brain. Oh my God, this mega mind genius. Just out of curiosity, I'm going to generate a 5,000 person pool and then run our stock sims. God. Sometimes it's hard, man. I struggle walking around. I have to pump so much blood to my brain because it's constantly thinking about how awesome it is that sometimes my legs just give out. It has happened. All right. Pool is built. And now I'm going to run the contest sim. Try with Frelick instead of Benintendi. Sure. Frelick gives up 0.4 of a point, more ownership. There's basically no way that this gets better. Yeah, John B, that's a good idea. I should probably be in a wheelchair. I could allocate more blood to the brain. All right. Frelick ain't the answer. Benintendi is the correct answer there for sure. The question becomes, can I turn Tommy Edman into a White Sox? Edman has the second best projection, but he's 3,600. Okay, let's try Garrett Mitchell here. Better projection than Edman, less ownership. This is going to go up unless that correlation factor matters, at which point, then we can go back to Frelick. This one's going up, folks. 46. Okay, so if I pull Benintendi and go to Frelick, does the double Milwaukee piece help us? And then we could think about Kike out, Milwaukee piece in 5-3. All right, sim is done. Shit. I told you I'm a genius. Number one lineup coming out of a full 5,000 lineup set. Only got to 63. We just built a top 5 lineup off the top of the dome. 42. Okay. Whatever I entered in, I hit the nuts. I know it sounds phony now, but holy shit, we killed it. Let's get those back in there. So that was Edmund Benintendi? Is that what that was? I already forgot. I think that's what it was. Trip, you said Mitchell and Frelick. That's not the lineup. Yeah. All right, let's just say that this is the one. 51. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it was higher. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 12th? 12th. Oh, I'm a genius. I'm an absolute genius. All right, my final sim is running. We have 16 minutes to go until lock. I am going to double check that because I tend to screw that up. Yeah. 210. We're also going to hit this. Jeff Williams hit us with the super chat, playing the 555 on DK. Let's load that lineup in. So we're going Burns and Williams. We're going Naylor. Singleton. We're going Altuve. Rivera. At third, I'm guessing, since we have Singleton in at first. Henderson. Santander. All right, so we're going with the expensive version of some of these Baltimore guys. Ben Gamel in, and finally Jordan in. So we're going 5, 4, 4, 3, 1. I think this ownership is going to be a bit too high. Jeff, thanks for that super chat, man. 0.4. 0.4. I think that's too much ownership. As weird as it sounds, like you can probably cut Yordan Alvarez and upgrade Jonathan Singleton and change that one out in a better way. All right, my sim is done. Let's run sim round 2, Electric Boogaloo. All right. That is now running in the background. Let's see if we can tweak that. So if we want to go first baseman, all right, if we can get in like the 7 or 8 projected or higher. Okay, we can keep the Houston theme. Let's take Diaz. And then in outfield, we can take sort of whatever we want. We don't have a Baltimore piece. I'm going to add Jake McCarthy. Oh, I don't like that. I thought I had more pieces of something here. If I add Chas McCormick there, we still have 2,400 left over. All right, we're warming up here. Diaz in at catcher. Now we have the 4-man Houston, 3-man Baltimore, and 5,400 to spend at first, which we can get to be Ryan O'Hearn. 4-4 now. Might still be too much ownership. Sean, thank you. That will definitely change. Yo, guys. So changing that payout will matter. I don't think it'll be all that extreme. These things are still directionally accurate. But 63.7 is higher than anything else that we built in the sim. I'm going to switch to small contest. I don't know the payout structure, so I'm going to keep it at 25. If I remove McCormick and then add him back in, I could rerun this. All right. Small contest 25. Jeff, I'll load you back in for small too. It shouldn't matter. Okay. So this one comes down a bit for small. So it's going to be Burns, Williams. I got to get Naylor, Singleton, Altuve, Rivera, Henderson, Santander, Ben Gamel, and then this becomes Jordan. Right? Burns, Williams, Naylor, Singleton, Altuve, Rivera, Henderson, Santander, Gamel, Alvarez. All right, we'll try it on the small contest. It shouldn't matter much. Yeah. So up to 7. Shortening the field helps a little bit, which makes perfect sense because of the ownership. The more chalky thing you play in the bigger contest is worse. Ownership in the smaller contest, less important. But, I mean, I just made tweaks to this lineup and knocked it out of the park. Spoiler alert, I'm good at this. This is fun, man. Who needs Laffy in these parts? Not I. Top of the hour. It's 2 p.m. I still got 19,000 simulations to run. We'll be done in a minute. And then we're going to load my lineups. That, Steven, really is. I mean, I don't understand how anyone wouldn't want to do this. It's just great. It's an absolutely fantastic tool. You can upload your own projections if you want. Like, I could put my own stuff in here if I wanted to. It's not necessary. But, I mean, we just straight killed it. Oh. I'm very, very, very anxious to find out what I'm about to end up with here. I'm really curious to see how the Astros lineups changed my is going to change my portfolio. I don't have a great feel. All right. We're down to 8,000 sims left. Well, good luck. Good luck, Loyal Rican 316. We're about to find out what I have. 5,000 sims to go. 8.5 minutes to go. I should probably get my upload file. I probably should have put some dummy lineups in, but considering I am a dummy, I have not done that yet. All right, so upload file is ready. Sim is about to end. And moving forward, like tomorrow when we do the strategy show, by the way, new time starting tomorrow. 9 a.m. for the strategy show. We're going to have NFL starting at 10 o'clock. We're going to be the lead into NFL. We can do a lot more building on a non-live before lock slate. It's not as easy for us to do that on a show because if we want to break down the slate at all, by the time I get building, we're in a worse spot. But all right, Sim is done. Lineup selector has been run. Let's grab the lineups. Here is what I am playing for today. And I say that, we'll look at it in a second. I am absolutely uploading this before we analyze it because last thing I want to do is be standing here with 0 lineups entered. I've done that too many times doing live shows. I don't know. I don't need today to be that day. All right. Placeholders are in. Lineups are copied. This is what I have. Well, I ended up with less of the Orioles and more of the Astros. 28% total of the Astros, including 54% of our boy Yordan Alvarez. I have 30% of Singleton, 30% of Dubon, 38% of Diaz. Only guy I don't have 10% of is Chas McCormick. But I have unloaded a full clip on the Astros. I still maintained a little bit of love to the Cleveland Guardians. The large majority of that is Andres Jimenez. I'm pretty neutral to the Guardians across the board, but Jimenez is showing up in a lot of stuff. Neutral on the Royals, neutral on the Diamondbacks, pretty neutral on the Reds. I don't have the White Sox anymore. I'm only at 5%, so that went away. What I do now have are the Cardinals. So shout out to whoever mentioned that before. 13% of the Cardinals, including 24% of Nolan Arenado. Looks like the Cardinals are the value that I'm looking for now. 2xing the field there. I don't have the Brewers and I don't have Baltimore. Those are the two landmines we're trying to dodge. And then we're cheering against the ownership of the Dodgers. If we look at my pitching exposure, 80% to Corbin Burns, 54% to Freddie Peralta, 26 to Gavin Williams, 20 to Justin Verlander, and 6% apiece to Michael Wacha, Jack Flaherty, and everybody's favorite, Chris Flexen. I'm happy with this. I would have liked to get to Baltimore, especially after seeing all of those fantastic ROIs come out of me building out Baltimore. I should probably play that lineup. Here are my individual hitter exposures. These are my hitters ranked in order of how good I think they are. I have Yordan Alvarez like quite a bit better than anybody else on this slate. And I have him as my most exposed guy. Only Gunnar Henderson is somebody I'm taking a bite out of at the top, but I have Ellie third overall. He's in 26%. Carroll, 22%. 30 apiece to Singleton, Diaz, Jimenez. Not too many dudes that I have absolutely zilch of, but it's a pretty decent list. There are 18 dudes that I don't have at all. Let's hope that none of these idiots hit a home run. But that is my exposures for today. You guys can see the screen right now. That's going to do it for MLB Live Before Lock. Lock in 3.5 minutes. If you don't have your lineups in yet, you are absolutely nuts for not doing it. The other reminder that I must give you is to hit the like button. That is essential because when the likes go up, the Josh happiness also goes up. And then final reminder, $1 for week 1 access for either our light or core subscriptions. The promo code is kickoff. Get week 1 for $1. NFL links to sign up are in the description of this video. I know you guys love NFL. You guys want to be here. Shows start tomorrow. Games start on Thursday. But for baseball, I'll see you guys every day, Monday through Friday. Good luck, everybody. Peace.